for all the blessings you've given us this day and this week. We thank you for waking us up, Lord. We thank you for keeping us in tune that as we come together and learn more about your word. And dear God, there's so much going on in the world today, and we just don't even really know what to pray for anymore. But we know that if we surrender to you, that you will know the things that are in our heart. And dear God, all these people that are in Florida, please bless them. We know that the elements are against them, but I know there's a lot of believers there, and hopefully they can shed their light. Bless all of the helpers, the volunteers, and so forth. Bless all the going on and the I don't know if that's the right word to say about, but just I don't even know what to pray about for Israel. Just, dear God, we know that those are your chosen people and that everything will happen according to your will. And we thank you again for allowing us to all join in this evening. And in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Before we get into looking through the ballot once again, I just wanted to kind of just really impress upon everyone what I was talking about Sunday, and if I needed any clarification, if anyone was like, what is he talking about, catfish? If I needed any clarification, if there are any questions about Sunday's message, I want to open that up for a moment. Anybody? Because, Peter is telling us here, to really be aware with what's going on around you and in your world. And to look at it, first of all, like we said, with spiritual perception, but don't be deceived to think that the distractions are going to lead you to a solution. He wants us to be careful about our decisions and our choices, because our adversary, the devil, wants to steal, kill, and destroy, in particular, your purpose in life. And your enemy is anyone or anything, any circumstance, or any weakness that will impede your vision and your purpose in life. Anything or anyone that comes in the form of an enemy. Now, the premise of my message Sunday is that I was reading this book called The Necessity of an Enemy. We need enemies, whether we want them or not. An enemy helps us to keep moving. Ergo, catfish. That's why I brought in catfish, because of the cod. When they ship the cod, the catfish are bottom feeders, right? So the cod had to swim in the tank. They swam up at the top. But they had to keep moving, because if they stopped moving, then the catfish would eat them. But if they kept moving, then they would be fresh when they got to the East Coast. And so some of the things that you might think of as an enemy to your soul is designed to keep you moving toward your purpose and trusting and believing in God. And I'm not saying that it's an easy thing to swallow. It's not. It's not easy to accept that the very thing that you don't like is actually could be good for you.
You said the enemy helps us, and I didn't catch that last part. You said the enemy helps us. Is that to persevere or to
Helps us to keep moving.
helps us to keep moving?
Yeah, the enemy helps you to keep moving. And remember, the enemy is not necessarily a person. For some of us, we are our own worst enemy. You know, procrastination is a great enemy. You freeze and you don't move. You don't do what you're supposed to do. You don't keep moving, and it becomes your own worst enemy. And it's at close quarters. That's like hand-to-hand combat. Because that's me, you know. I'm the one choosing not to do what I know I should be doing. You know. So just facing that, and I didn't make this quote Sunday, so I'll make it tonight. It's in your, I think it's in your notes. It says, "If you discover what people hate about you, you will discover what is valuable about you." Now, if you discover what people hate about you, then you'll discover what's valuable about you. That's a light bulb. Yeah. If you discover what people hate about you, then you'll discover what is valuable about you. I talked about waiting. You know, waiting for the vision, waiting on the Lord, and how that can be misunderstood as being passive in life. I'm just waiting on the Lord. When you gonna do so? I'm just waiting on God. Well, didn't blessing just come your way? And yeah, but I'm waiting on the Lord. I'm just waiting on the Lord. Bring it to me. Drop it in my lap. That's what he said. Me and will drop it in your lap. But the word wait, the Hebrew connotation of the word wait means to ambush. Right? That should change your attitude about waiting, because it's anticipation, it's being prepared, focused and ready to take advantage of the opportunity when it presents itself. You know, when opportunity knocks, it only has to do one knock because you're already ready. You're like, what's that? I got it. That's the wait. That's what it means to wait. Just. Okay, I'll hold still, but as soon as that opportunity presents itself, I'm jumping on it. And did everybody understand what I meant by get rid of the boat? Get rid of the boat?
Put your past behind you.
Yes. See, when Jesus met the disciples, they were fishermen. That was their business. That was their livelihood. That was how they earned their money. That was what they knew, was fishing. And Jesus called them out from being fishermen to being fishers of men. And he gave them a new assignment, a new profession, which was to go and preach the gospel, right? And he taught them how to do all the things that he did. And then when he died and he went away, they went back to fishing. Right, they went back to what they know because it was familiar, it was comfortable, it was their comfortable way of earning a living, and they just disregarded the new assignment. They disregarded going in a new direction. They disregarded something challenging. They got back in the boat. And so what I was saying is sometimes you got to get rid of the boat. You can't let the old things even present themselves. You can't look back. There's what they say, don't look in the rearview mirror, There's more to look out the window because everybody wants to see what's behind them. Something chasing me. I'd rather for goodness and mercy, yes.
When I was raising up the girls to do praise dance at our churches, Jazzy was a little thing, and everybody is facing that way. But Jazzy would look like this, and then she would just constantly we have video footage of her. She just looked back all the time, and I'm like, babe, why are you always looking back here? And she just got to see everything, but never this way.
Were there dancers in back of her?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But they would, even if they weren't moving, she just still got to look. She has to be,
What's behind me?
right, what's going on back here? And I'm like, no, you have to focus that way. It took training her and teaching her forward before she stopped. And I didn't know, I don't even recognize when she stopped doing that. But she doesn't do it, anymore. And she hadn't since she had kept doing praise dance. But for the longest, always back here.
What an analogy. What a life lesson. Stop looking back.
But could it be that she was unsure that she was doing what they were doing?
No, Jazzy was
Yeah, yeah.
Jazzy was just nosy.
But-
You just had to train her, that's all.
But I get it. I get
what
it.
you're saying,
Yeah, but even so, as a life lesson, what if what you're doing is not what everybody's doing? You get what I'm saying? What if what you're doing is what you're doing? But if you keep looking back, you're not going to do it well. You're not going to be focused at, because what you do, they might all start doing what you're doing. Or you might have a solo.
Right, and most times there's always different things going on, and she would be doing something different, but I don't know. She
But-
always looked.
But as a life lesson, if you just keep moving forward and you keep focused on your purpose, your passion, your vision, and your calling, most likely it's not going to look like everybody else, what everybody else is doing. Because your assignment is unique to you. Because ingrained in your assignment is your individuality, your individual experiences, your individual abilities that nobody else has. And if they do, they don't have it to that degree. There is something unique about each and every one of you that makes your individual vision. And that's what the enemy wants. He does not want you to accomplish your vision. He does not want you to accomplish your purpose, because when you do, you give glory to God. And that's the ultimate he don't want. He don't want anybody to give glory to God. He does not want anyone to speak well of the Creator. That's what to give glory means, to basically to speak well of, to cause someone else to have a good opinion of. That's what giving glory means. When they say you should give glory with your life should be led in a way that it gives a good opinion of God. People have a good opinion of God by watching you. People have a good opinion of God by listening to you. People have a good opinion of God by watching how you carry yourself. And they want to know, are you spiritual? Are you religious? Yeah, I'm a Christian. A Christian? Yeah, that's the first thing you get. What? Yeah, well, you ain't like them other Christians. Well, we got such a bad rap. It's a shame. We don't want to be a Christian. Yeah. We don't know. It's like, wow, y'all, please, we give God a bad name, But hey, we got to live our lives a little bit differently, and that's what the enemy's, motive is, to give God a bad name. And if he can get at you and use you to do it, then he's accomplished. He don't want to kill you. He want to kill your vision. He want to kill your purpose. Right? Yeah. He wants you to walk around moping and complaining. That's what he really wants. That. Please complain some more. That's what I want you to do. complain and grumble. Yeah, do that. 'Cause then they sure don't want to serve your God, because you all unhappy. You frowning and going on. Yeah, they don't want to serve your God. 'Cause your God is not making you happy at all. That's the enemy's plan. That's the enemy's plan. I mean, yeah. So I'll stop there, because the other part, the weapons of mass destruction, I'm going to deal with that a little more on Sunday. I think I'm going to just elaborate on these a little more, because I rushed through them Sunday, and I think we need to spend a little bit more time with that, because when you look at things like isolation, when we look at our social media world today, it's really is designed to isolate us. We don't get together like we used to anymore, and fellowship, and Friday night card parties. Not that I'm advocating for it. I'm just saying. Sunday afternoon dinners. Hey, just come on by my house. I cooked enough. We don't do those things anymore. We don't. The young people that I come in contact with, especially on the high school level, can barely carry a conversation, a meaningful conversation. And those younger than that, 2 or 3 sentences and they're bored. Because the new technology has caused us to be isolated. Now, they can text you faster than you can talk. You be talking without looking at you in the face, without saying a word, without engaging in you, any of those things. But they can communicate, so it's not a matter of communication. It's the type of communication that has changed. And because of the type of communication that has changed, we can communicate with the whole world and never leave our room. Have a boyfriend and a girlfriend and never leave our room. I know some teenagers are madly in love and broke up and have suicidal ideation and never even met the person. Never saw him face to face. Because of isolation. It's a weapon of mass destruction. The immature kid in you is a weapon of mass destruction. What did I mean by that? Does anybody remember what I said real quickly? I'm going to deal with it Sunday, though. The wounds of our past. Lord, help me Sunday to deal with the traumatic experiences as kids that we've had, that we've brought into our adulthood, that we've brought into our purpose and vision in life, that sometimes presents itself and it causes us to fear to move ahead. It causes us to think of that, man, all those things, maybe what they said about me was true. Those hidden fears, they create these hidden fears. I always talk about one that I experienced personally, and I talk to, when I'm talking to children, especially teenagers, about those that are depressed and even suicidal. I see them every day. I share my experience as a young man who wanted to be like my dad, who was an incredible singer. And I wanted to sing like him. And I couldn't hold a tune in a bucket. And I would get up in the church and sing, and the people, friends, would laugh and run out the church laughing and holding their mouth and their stomach. And one day somebody came up to me, baby, I know you want to be like your daddy, but you need to stick to preaching. Do you know, I remember those words like it was today. Do you know those words haunt me every time I go into a recording studio? Every single time I get behind a mic to record a record, I heard those words come across. And if I had to let them stop me, I wouldn't have recorded 6 albums, solo albums, and hundreds of songs for other people. Yeah. But they still haunt me, and I still have to suppress that. Yes.
I got a D in art from a teacher.
Not you.
Yep.
Not with that around your neck.
I got a D in art in school.
Is that right? Well, see how them past things can, if you let them, can mess you up. You have to overcome those things. Because that's the enemy.
And now I make money selling trash.
You sure do.
And good trash.
Yeah, right.
That's the same thing Steve Harvey's teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you, if you listen to the stories of a lot of the entertainers and superstars, many of them will tell you those same kind of stories, which would have stopped their purpose and their vision, their future for their lives, if they had have not dealt with those, the kid in them. So we're going to deal with that Sunday, out of control feelings. Mostly that comes in the form of anger, but it can come in the form of other emotions. False ideas of self, which can come from that. Ignorance, just not knowing stuff. And I said Sunday, there's no excuse with our information technology. You should know some stuff. You should know. And then the last one was the resurrection of an old thing. All those are weapons of mass destruction. We'll deal with them next Sunday. Lord, say the same. So now, let's dive. Have you been seeing the commercials of Proposition this and Proposition that? Lord.
Don't vote for this one because of that.
Yeah. So I'm gonna skip 32 for right now, because 32 is the minimum wage proposition.
KCRA 3 had what we're doing. They played
They're
it
doing
last
it?
night. Going over some of the
Going over it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could you just tell me that's what is Prop 32 that you're just going to skip over?
I'm just gonna skip over for now because I'm gonna come back. It's the raise the minimum wage initiative. And it has its pros and cons if you read it. Because of course, if you raise the minimum wage, and basically it's raising the minimum wage. California's minimum wage is $16 an hour. So it's saying employers with 26 or more employees. Now imagine that. If you have 26 employees, you're doing some business. Okay, now it might be you're doing some business. Now I don't know what your bottom line is and your expenses is, but if you can afford to pay 26 employees, you doing business. I ain't gonna say you're making money, but you're doing business. And so it's saying that if you have that many, that this would raise the minimum wage $1 to $17 an hour for the remaining of 2024, which in this case would just be a couple of months, and then starting in 2025, raise it another $1, which minimum wage would be $18 an hour.
I remember working at a bank and getting $1.70 an hour.
You telling our age, okay?
I had to work for the state 20 years to get $17.
I remember 225. Okay. Anyway, it says employers with 25 or fewer employees would pay $17 an hour beginning, January 2025, and then 18 the following year in 2026. And so it has its pros and cons because, of course, if you got to pay employees more, that means you're making less, right? Your bottom line is less. However, from an economic standpoint, then people have a little more money to spend. At least, a little bit more money to spend. Or, but don't pay overtime. Didn't one of the candidates just say that the other day? He said, don't say nothing, don't say nothing.
Well, he said it.
He said, I'm not going to pay nobody overtime. I just going to get some new employees. I'm like, why did he say that? Why did he say that? Anyway, yeah. Well,
It just slipped out.
yeah, well, wow. Anyway, So yeah. Anyway, so we'll come back to that because it's kind of a slam dunk thing. It's really a matter of 6 and 1/2, half dozen and the other. You want to pay people more, but you want to stay in business too. So yeah, because everything else keeps going up. So you got to pay people because they're not making enough to survive on. Well, this is the California ballot, though. Yeah. So 33, and should I say 34? Because if you read 33, if you read all the pros and cons in 33, you go, oh, okay. I get the argument. And then you go to 34, just when you think you decided what you want to do for 33. And then you read 34, you go, oh, are these connected? Well, how did they connect the money like this? Because after all, it is all about the money. Right? So 33 is the expands local government's authority to enact rent control on residential property, and it's an initiative statute. So basically 33 is changing, they want to change the current law of rent control. There's a state law, and this would repeal that state law and would prohibit the state from limiting the ability of cities and counties to maintain, enact, or expand residential rent control ordinances. Yeah, I get that. That's a bunch of double talk right there. In one sentence, that was double talk times double talk. On that one sentence, right?
Yes.
So let's read it again. This measure would repeal, take away a state law and would stop the state from limiting the ability. So right now the state has the ability to limit cities and counties to maintain rent control. So what it's saying is that right now states and cities and counties have their own way of doing rent control. Okay, so there's a law that says, okay, you can only do, you can control, but you can't control only so much. Okay. So there's a lot of flexibility in the state law. So now what this is saying, okay, we want to take that away and tell them, look, you have to have rent control. Period. You can't have no flexibility and all that. You got to have rent control across the board.
It's out of control.
Well, yeah.
That's for city, and county.
Yeah.
state
Yeah, this is right. This is the state jumping in and say all cities and counties and all y'all rent control.
Now, is that a bad thing?
Well, now let's see. Cause see, that's the way it was before 1995. And then the state law came in 1995, gave a little flexibility. You know, single family homes. So the flexibility was this. If you move into a new apartment, you know, the other old tenants went out, and then the owner has the right to raise the rent as much as they want to. There's no control over what they can have you pay. But there is a control if you already live there. And it come around for the, renewal of your lease. They can only raise it so much. But if you move out and somebody else move in, they can do that. So this proposition takes that ability away. They can't do that.
Who's saying to the property owner that you're charging too much rent?
The law. This will be a state law.
But who's gonna tell them? The new
The housing authorities. The rent and housing authorities. So this is what they do. Hold on, we got to get to the money. We ain't got to the money yet. We ain't got to the money. So what's happening is when they limit that, what they do is the money that the housing authority gets from the limitations of the rent, they take that revenue and they're supposed to use it for low-income housing, homeless programs, all of that. That's where that tax money from that is supposed to go. So you go, okay, now let's limit so because you limit their ability to raise the rent, they get government subsidy. That money then goes to help the homeless and the poor and the low-income families and, families with children and all that. Sounds really good, right? Okay. So now, if you go to page 44, there's a rebuttal. And it says, they're at it again. Proponents of Prop 33 have taken millions of taxpayer dollars. Here's the money. Money that is supposed to be used to help low-income HIV and AIDS patients and spend it on yet another of their anti-housing crusades. Once again, they're pushing a measure that will hurt small mom and pop landlords. AHF, which has received billions of taxpayer dollars already, meant to serve patients, has diverted that money to pay for things that have nothing to do with health care. That's where the money was supposed to go. So now they say, nah. The proponents to this, the ones that want to vote no on it, says no, because y'all saving and making money, taxpayer dollars, that's supposed to go to help the health care, but that's not where it's going. So I read that and I read through it. I was like, oh, okay. It's just a regular little argument, blah, 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 and the landlords are saying, no, we want to be able to raise the rent and charge what we want to charge for rent, because we got to make money. And if we're going to have to be spending money and our taxes are going to be going, our property tax and all that's supposed to be going to this, that, and the other thing, we want to see it going there. So they're saying no. So then, so in your opinion, from what you hear now, with Proposition 33. You would think, okay, limiting, having some kind of rent control is a good thing, right? Unless, unless you're a landlord and you own some apartment buildings or a house and you want to, then you be like, nah, because I want to be able to charge at least enough to cover my mortgage, right? So you kind of got mixed emotions about that, but you don't want to price it too high because you want to keep tenants in there, right? You want to keep tenants that's gonna, take care of your property, that kind of thing. All those things that landlords go through or people go through when they want to rent out a room. It even comes down to how much you can charge to rent a room. This proposition limits how much you can charge to rent a room.
So where do the people, like if I want to go to LC and rent a place,
Yeah,
I
because
want to
people
go
watch.
to LC and I want to rent a place. Well, I'm a new tenant. Is this just for people that are already in there? Because how am I going to know what you were charging the person before me?
You don't.
So I don't get, who's going to be standing outside saying, how much rent are you charging? I don't get it. The state is going to come in.
Oh, you mean who gonna catch them?
Yeah.
Who been catching them?
I don't know.
Nobody been catching them.
No.
That's why people been charging what they want to charge for rent.
Right.
Well, usually complaints go to the housing authority. Like usually it's the tenants who are complaining.
Okay.
Like if you're a tenant who's been there and then like I've heard this a lot in the city that like their rent has gone up like a whole $100 or $200, and so people have called in to complain about that because it's unreasonable. Go up that high. That's what they're saying.
Right. And so if there's no law regulating that, they just got to pay it or move, which creates homelessness.
The last time I moved, they were going to go up $400 on the rent because they were refurbishing all their apartments. And it's like during COVID time, they were hoping all the people, since they were working at home, would move from the Bay Area, move to this area for cheaper rent, since they could work at home. So they were raising them up almost like to Bay Area prices.
Right. So
So if I was living in a house and they wanted to raise my rent $300, I could go to this new board,
the housing authority.
Housing Authority.
Yeah.
Even though I wasn't like a low income person, if I was just out there working and paying my rent and stuff, I could go and they would make this owner lower the rent.
Follow the law, right? Because it would be a law.
Well, I think that's a good thing.
All right.
But what are they doing with the money? Show me the money.
Who's supposed to regulate? Who is the person that is supposed to say, okay, you're out of compliance with this?
Yeah.
The housing authorities, or out of compliance with where the money is going. That would be.
In other words, the money is supposed to be going to certain programs.
Right, AIDS, healthcare, Veterans Voices, the Coalition, Economic Survival, all of those places.
Right,
But is it?
right.
So I think that's the part I'm not understanding is that so I'm not understanding how the money funnels to these programs. If I own the house and I'm charging the rent, is it the taxes that I'm
It's the taxes, yeah.
So the taxes that there's a portion of that rent that I'm collecting that I have to pay taxes on.
Right,
And then that, once the state gets that, it's supposed to go to these programs.
right.
So
Right.
who regulates the money that's supposed, the money is supposed to go to these programs?
Right.
Who is the one that's in charge that regulates that demand?
Now, when they write these bills into place, they're supposed to have some type of accounting accountability.
Okay.
That Somebody said, yeah, they're supposed to have some auditors that audit where that money goes to, what programs they go to, how much they're putting into these programs. Just like we had talked about the bonds last week. When they get those bonds, there's in those bonds, there's supposed to be somebody that's regulating how this money is being spent, and they do internal audits, and they're supposed to report these audits to the state, whatever department that's supposed to watch over the money. But you gotta watch the ones that's watching over the money.
Yeah, who's lining whose pocket?
Most of the time, your Lord help me, your city officials, because they get lobbied. I mean, I used to work for Los Angeles County Medical Association. I used to do the accounting for the Los Angeles County Medical Association, and every week there was some type of event. The lobbyists were lobbying the doctors medical association was lobbying different politicians to vote to pass laws that would favor the doctors. And they would give events, $100, $1,000 a plate, you know, and all that money would go towards the politician so that they could, you know, make a sizable contribution to whatever you're about.
But they didn't have to.
No, and it's all accounted for money. You know what I mean? It's not always in their pockets, but it does fund like say if I'm assemblyman, and I'm into healthcare or mental health. That's my thing. Okay, so I got some lobbyists. They'll come and say, "Hey, we're gonna give a couple $100,000 to your favorite charity or whatever you know, if you write a bill that allows for this, that, and so." Okay, write a check to them on my behalf, and we'll sit down and we'll make up this law. That's how that goes.
So you still, to me, it seems like you're still paying the guy that's got the money to help the people that don't have the money, but he gets the money and he doesn't help them.
And that's what they're saying. Who's watching the person? How much? Because I got a few minutes. Why do you think it took so long for them to legalize marijuana in California?
They wanted to figure out how to get the profit.
They already knew how they were going to monetize it. They knew how they were going to monetize it and how they were going to tax it. They had all that because that's what they were selling. But why do you think it took it so long to get on the ballot?
Somebody was fighting.
Because number one, the people that were really pushing the legalization of marijuana were the cigarette companies. And remember, cigarette companies got sued, and so they didn't really have the money to lobby. Because you remember all the money they got sued for? And you know who was lobbying against them? The alcohol companies. Because the alcohol companies are making more money for vices, right? They won't go out and buy no weed because then they won't buy less alcohol. You gotta follow the dollar. And so the alcohol companies are lobbying. They got plenty of money. Budweiser, ooh, wow, they paid a couple $1 million for a 15-second commercial. They lobbying to the politicians. Don't pass that. Don't get past that marijuana law. They lobbying. Yeah, just sit on it. Don't bring it to the floor yet. Mm-hmm.
So what would happen if this bill doesn't pass?
Then if the bill doesn't pass, then it'll remain like it is. It'll stay just like it is. Yep. Right. Yeah, and rent control will not be under control. It'll be like it is now.
Yeah.
Right.
As high as they want, they can raise it as high as they want.
Well, they have a certain percentage, but it's large. You know what I mean? And I think what happens is the landlords tend not to want to raise it too high, because then they'll price themselves out of the market. And then they won't have nothing.
My brother lives in a complex in San Francisco, and it's low-income housing, but very, 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 very nice area.
Mm-hmm.
There is a one-bedroom available apartment in this complex.
Mm-hmm.
They have not rented out the apartment yet
Mm-hmm.
because they want $3,500
How much?
to rent this one-bedroom apartment.
How long is
Yeah,
it? How long has it been unrented?
I learned about it about 2 months ago. My brother told me about 2 months ago. I don't know how long it had been vacant then, but the building manager said they're gonna sit on it.
I think if it goes unrented for so long, then it becomes a tax write-off.
Isn't that something?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you have a house and it becomes unrented for so long, you can write that unrented time off on your income taxes. Yeah, right.
But it's all of this. You know what? If I
Yeah, thank you.
if it wasn't for the people that died, so I could vote, I really don't
wouldn't
want to
vote.
vote. I don't. I only do it because they fought for me.
Yeah,
But it's all jargon, jumbled, and I don't know. You understand it. I don't understand.
that's because I was a political science major. And plus,
Yeah,
and
okay.
plus, I watched a little. Like when we get to this next proposition, this one blew my mind. I really had to continue to read it. I still haven't come to a conclusion, because Proposition 34 says it restricts the spending of prescription drug revenues by certain healthcare providers. So, in other words, the discounts that you get on prescription drugs that they've written in, you don't have to pay as much for the prescription drugs. That money that's in between there, what they would have charged you and what you paid, could no. So like if you like low income, you can get low income breaks on prescription drugs, right? And so you don't have to pay what they would normally charge. Well, that difference, let's say they would normally charge $50 for your prescription, but you only have to pay $20. So that $30 difference, that money is the money, because they still get paid that difference from the program. The program that allowed you to pay $20, they still pay them their $30 difference. That money that they pay is supposed to go to something else. Guess what it's supposed to go to? The same thing that was in Proposition 33. That jacked me up. I was like, what? Wait a minute. Because if you read the pros and cons, they keep talking about Proposition 33, and I kept turning. I said, I thought I was on Proposition 34. See, page 50, the rebuttal. I was like, wait a minute. What's going on? I thought we were talking about prescription drugs. I didn't know we were talking about housing. That money is tied together. That money is the money is tied together. The money that restricts the rent, those tax dollars go toward reducing the prescriptions. Yes.
So if you vote yes on one,
It don't matter.
You messing up the other one. Yeah. Right. Right. Well, And that, you all, is politics.
Yeah.
And that's fine, not gonna vote for either one.
Yeah. Yeah, isn't that something? So if you vote favorable for one, you just took money away from lowering the prescription drug costs.
I think it's interesting that on the ballot, Proposition 33, the people the opponents of 33 are the California Council for Affordable Housing, Women Veterans Alliances,
Mhm.
and California Chamber of Commerce.
Right. They're the opponents
Right.
of 33.
33, yeah.
Right. So they're saying no,
Right.
don't limit the rent, because those tax dollars are going towards the new housing and toward Proposition 34, where you're getting more support for health care. Because when they raise the rent, the taxes they pay on that allows you to have cheaper prescription drugs.
And we don't win either way.
But if you're like a landlord, you wanna make money, so you gotta decide who you are in this scenario, right?
Right. So it's like I might have to pay more in rent, but at least I don't have to pay for my medication.
Well, you can have your medication in the park with all the other people.
Right. Right.
There's no win.
So I want to encourage you just to read those ones.
That's a heck of a decision to make.
It is.
It's a waste of time and money to me.
It feels you stay alive.
And so in Proposition 35, there was no rebuttal against that. It's just Proposition 35 is funding for Medi-Cal healthcare services. And we all know that, we need to keep putting money into that pot. We just do, the last one that got me was the Proposition 36, and we'll stop with Proposition 36. Okay. Proposition 36 allows felony charges and increased sentences for certain drug and theft crimes. Allows felony charges for possessing certain drugs and thefts under $950, both currently chargeable only by misdemeanors. This makes them felonies. Increases the sentences for other specific drug and theft crimes, mostly fentanyl. Increases prison sentences. Watch this. Increased prison sentences may reduce savings that currently fund mental health and drug treatment programs, K-12 schools, and crime victims.
I think corrections takes up a third of the
So this,
state budget.
So this 36 is what Chicago, New York, and Denver is implementing now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a few months ago.
Yeah, yeah.
First came out, yeah.
Uh-huh,
Okay.
uh-huh.
But isn't it, okay, I don't even remember voting on this particular issue, but I have learned that we as the public okay, for people to go in the stores and steal, and up to $950 is a misdemeanor. And why did they do that? And so now they're getting ready to try to change the law again now to make it, to up it?
They did it for the exact same reason, because the more people you put in jail, the more it costs. It costs us. And so where do they get the money from to pay for those that are incarcerated? They got to eat, they got to sleep, they got to do. Who pays for that? We do. Where does that tax money come from? It's telling you right here. It comes from mental health services. It comes from K through 12 schools. Yeah, it comes from all of that.
So it just feels like you're just spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning. That's how I feel.
And nothing is really being circled back.
We're not rising.
Well, uh, the nature of politics, I tell people, being a political science major, I look at politics on all levels like a pendulum. It swings. People vote, it swings this way. After a while, they vote, it'll swing the other way. And depending on how far it goes, depends on how far it'll swing back the other way. The challenge for us as a society is to find laws and politicians that's willing to meet in the middle. Because it's in the middle that benefits all. So if you have a politician that swings it far to the left, the next politician behind them is going to swing it far to the right. And it'll keep going until one politician stands up and says, let's be bipartisan and let's find middle ground. Because that's where the majority of the people are, somewhere in the middle. Oh, baby, why don't you just meet me in the middle? And that's the nature of that's the nature of politics, honestly. So if you're voting for someone that is strong to the left, just know that eventually somebody that's strong to the right gonna be in charge, and vice versa.
That kind of reads to me, especially in the African American population. So if you have some crime, if you already have committed a crime or two, that could affect you having to go as a charge and a longer sentence. It's almost kind of
That
another law that has like that 3 strikes.
it is like 3 strikes. It's totally like 3 strikes.
African American population.
More so. Right. It does. It does. And by doing that, it also takes money out of the public schools in addition. Well, they're not making them. They're making it an option, yeah. Right. I'll work. Well, hopefully they'll have a skill and they won't commit the same crime again because they can get a job with the minimum wage just went up, and which was it Proposition 13 that didn't have a rebuttal? Yeah,
35.
35.
Okay, I'm saying 13.
So, but I wanted to draw your attention to page 54 real quick so you'll see what if they pass it, what will happen.
There you go.
So it has a check mark that Proposition 35 changes which services get funding increases. Funding increases in the short term, 25 to 26. So doctors and other related providers get a funding increase. Specific hospital services get an increase. Outpatient facilities get an increase. Safety net clinics, behavioral health facilities, reproductive health and family planning, emergency medical transportation, Medi-Cal workforce programs, and doctor postgraduate training programs. All those get increases in funding. And then it tells you what doesn't. Non-emergency medical transportation won't get increase. Private duty nursing won't get an increase. Certain long-term supports, community health workers won't get an increase. Continuous Medi-Cal coverage for children up to 5 years old won't get an increase. Outpatient facilities won't get an increase. But there was no rebuttal on that one.
How about the doctors and the
Oh,
other related providers?
the doctor's gonna get an increase under the current law and under
Maybe-
the new.
Maybe that should go
They're gonna get an
to,
increase regardless.
maybe that should go to
Right.
the continuous Medicare
Yeah.
coverage for children up to 5.
Right. Yeah, well, that's gonna take another politician to come in and change that, which means somebody's going to lobby him and say, we'll give a couple $100,000 to your favorite charity if you write another law or bill that will change that. In the back, because on the other one it shows you the yays and the nays that made it go onto the board. So in the back, where it really gives the the whole thing reads, whoever wrote this thing, because it's pages and pages. So in the front, we're just giving you the synopsis. If you turn to the back, like on page what? Wow. Page, whoo. I'll let y'all go in a minute. Look at Proposition 4. Proposition 4 goes on forever and ever. I don't know who wrote this, but who would read it? Right, for instance, Proposition 3 is like 2 paragraphs because all they want to do is change the verbiage. Proposition 4 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pages. Proposition 4 is 10 pages.
Almost 20 pages.
Yeah. Right, you're right, because it's both sides. Yeah. Right.
For drought, flood, water.
That was about the water and the money that goes toward the emergency fund for fire and all of that. And so if you see the number, see that number that's there, it's almost every paragraph. You can actually go online and pull this up. Go under, I think it's Secretary of State, and then it'll tell you every politician that voted for it and every politician that didn't vote for it. So you'll know if Garamendi voted for it or not. Whoever, our senator up here. Who's the senator up here? Who is it? Schiff. Who's on the ballot this year, y'all? Yeah. So you know what he voted for and what he didn't vote for. You can be able to see that. You can also see some of our state, some of our county officials that we've put in, and I think even this ballot might be all the way down to the city level, right? Isn't city council on this ballot? Yeah. Just a couple of seats that's up. I think Pam Bertani's seat is up. Yeah, Bertani's seat is up. Y'all let her in because she's doing some nice things to help, with the churches and Bertani.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she's doing some things. To give her. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I meant to say. Am I still on camera? I retract that last statement. I approve this announcement. No, really. I just meant take a really good look at the things that she's doing in the community. I mean, and really all of them. Look and see what they're doing in the community. What do they stand for? Some of them stand for good mental health services. Some of them are really about the homelessness. Some of the, and look and listen to, because they have statements. You can read their statements of when they're campaigning. They have to have those statements, and just take a good look at them and see if you agree with what they're about. Yeah, voting is good. It's that work that's behind it that can be tedious, and it can be disheartening because of the nature of politics. You like this idea, but it takes away from this one over here. To vote, it is. Right. It is hard, and in their generation, they just like, hey, I'm not doing that. No. You can't blame them, but we have to give them a different narrative. We have to give them, then you go for it. Like on the East Coast, have you seen those politicians on the East Coast? They are young women and young men in their like early 30s, late 20s. I'm like, oh, y'all better go ahead and do your thing, because we got a lot of young people that's like, okay, get the old guard. We here now. This is what we doing. And I'm like, yes, lead your generation. Yeah, go ahead. So that's what we've got to do. We've got to encourage these young people. If you don't like the way the political system is, get in there and change it, and you can. Rah, rah, go, go. Yeah, and what's really encouraging is if enough of them get together and we can see the change. It's hopeful. It really is hopeful. So just the fact that they got together and voted and made a statement, whether we agree with it or not, they did it. Right, and that's what we want them to do, because that's them standing on our shoulders and us standing on our four parents' shoulders and their shoulders that fought and bled and died for the right to vote, whether you were of a different ethnicity or even women. Yeah, you're right. You hadn't had the right to vote. How crazy is that? Never mind. I don't want to get into that. Strike that last statement. Yeah, you gonna log me out. Good night, everybody. Good night, social media.